On today's show, I have Nick Hounslow. He's an actor in the new Christmas film called Christmas with a Prince. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ready, Set, Live. My in-studio guest is the actor Nick Hounslow.
Hi, Gary.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So great to see
Great
you.
to see you too.
Congratulations on this great your second movie, actually. It's the Christmas with a Prince. That is really exciting. It was #1 on the network.
Yep.
And 7 million viewers tuned in.
Crazy, right?
That's amazing.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah, it really surpassed any expectations we had. I mean, I didn't really have any expectations. I had so much fun shooting the movie. I was never expecting we would even get a sequel. So when we got that was a bonus. So I went back to Canada earlier this year, shot the sequel. You know, these movies, they turn them around quite fast. So after we shot it in 3.5 weeks, boom, back to LA. And then suddenly it just aired on December 3rd on Up TV and #1 on the network and still #1 and #1 of everything they've aired this year. So it's, yeah, it kind of is, it's pretty surreal, you know, it's kind of blown.
And maybe some people don't know you're originally from England.
Right.
You know.
If they hadn't got that from my accent.
Right.
I know it's a bit patchy now living here. Someone the other day said, "Are you like Australian? What are you?" And I was like, "No, I'm a Brit that's lived in LA and I have American inflections that come into my English accent, which we've worked out now is kind of Australian." So for this movie, I had to really kind of like, okay, remember how to talk, how to talk properly, like I was raised, like how to bring my accent back to like this English accent.
That's so funny. When you were growing up in England, though, did you have aspirations to be an actor, or
no? I had aspirations, dreams of being like a superhero as a kid, and then when I would watch movies, I just thought I had no concept that was a job, you know. It wasn't until I got to school and we had plays, and I was so shy. We've talked about this in the past, and I was just so painfully shy, and I would make myself do these plays because I would get so angry that I got shy. I'd be like, "Why are you so shy?" And I'd get so angry with myself and made myself do them. So I didn't enjoy doing it, and I hated it. I dreaded it. I would be backstage like shaking, like I would go bright red, and I managed to kind of just sort of beat it out of myself, and then it became like then I started enjoying it, and what really got me into it was like actually modeling at 17. That's what really kind of pushed me into like in front of the camera, and again, I didn't know what a model was. I knew there was female models, but not really, and I had no idea that men could do that. And so I started doing that at 17, and it kind of just exposes you to this world.
Yes, especially if you're not, because you know how it can just throw you into the throes of people are like primping over you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was at 17. I was sent out to Milan and Paris, and my first show was a Jean-Paul Gaultier show at 17 years old. I think I was the youngest model by like 5 or 6 years. Which, when you look at a 25-year-old and a 17-year-old, it's not much of a difference. But at the time, you think, these are adults. I'm like a kid. What the hell? And I remember my knees shaking so badly walking down the runway, and I thought they were going to collapse underneath me, and that would be my entire career over, just like that in one year. But yeah, it's crazy. Nothing can prepare you for that.
Right.
You know? And I grew up in the middle of England. I went to a boarding school which churned out doctors and lawyers and had a lot of like really wealthy kids that really didn't need to work. And so I was never around anybody in the entertainment industry, ever. It was never on my radar.
And then you came to Los Angeles.
Yep.
And then that sort of, you dipped your feet into acting.
Yeah, again, I mean, I'd loved doing it back in the UK, but I hadn't done a lot there, and I was doing a fashion show for the Oscars. I was the only male model in this pre-fashion show for the Oscars, just showing some tuxes. All the girls were in these like beautiful gowns. And these managers were sitting in the audience, and they stopped me afterwards and they're like, "Are you an actor?" And I was like, "Sure."
Right.
Because you always say yes. You know? And I was like, "Yep, absolutely. Can you do an American accent?" "Yep, absolutely, no problem." And they were like, "You look like a guy that is leaving Days of Our Lives, but they want to replace him." So I didn't even know that was a thing. You know, you can replace somebody that looks like someone. And I went through the whole thing. I screen tested. They really liked me, and it looked like I was going to get this 3-year contract. And then the guy that was playing that role, they paid more money, and then he came back. But after that, I mean, this was years ago, they were still shooting Friends at that point, right over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked into the studio and I was like, how am I even here where they shoot Friends? This is not real. And you kind of think at some point, okay, well, like, is this the universe, if you will, showing me, like, maybe you should try this. Maybe
Correct.
you should, you know.
But why were you at Friends? An audition, or you got
No,
the job?
that was where Days of Our Lives was. They were next door.
Got
so
it.
they were literally next door to Friends. So, of course, I ended up walking down the corridors and just sort of, you know, looking at
Checking in
different
the
rooms. And,
Cafe Perk.
yeah, seeing if I could find Jennifer Aniston or someone to chat to and be like, hey, you know. But yeah, that was kind of how that started here. So it was very, yeah.
Yeah, what sometimes, you know, destiny, or I think just the intention of just being present, gives you that sort of, I'm all of a sudden thrust into it.
Yeah.
Where there's actors who they've been focused on it since they were, you know, children, and then they said, I want to be an actor.
Yeah.
But that never was your path.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I think one thing that I've learned for sure is that, you know, people that I see over here that have made it in their like early 20s and mid 20s and are working, you know, what I didn't realize is that they've been doing this since they were 6-7 years old, like auditioning, and it's a whole learning process. Like you think you just go there, it's not. You have to learn. There's so many things. I've had so many different experiences going into a room, where I've had the first session, it was great. I go to producers, I'm super excited. They tell you like, oh, you're the favorite. You walk into the room thinking it's the same room, and then suddenly there's 20 people, and no one. I mean, I would love someone to say, hey Nick, by the way, there's going to be an audience of 20 people of network execs when you walk in this room. No one told me. So like I walked in this room and I was like, hi. And I think I literally tried to say hello to every single person because I was just so nervous. And it was just really awkward. So you learn so much from every audition as the years go by. And I think that's when people say, well, it takes 10 to 15 years. There's so much truth behind that.
Right.
It's, you know, gathering experience and everything.
And going into this, the first Prince movie,
Yeah.
was there a sense of you didn't know what it was, or you said, okay, I know I'm going up for a movie, and I just prepared for it, and I just let it be?
It was one of those things where my manager said, hey, they want to read you for this role. It's the role of a prince. It's a holiday movie. They were like, it's up to you if you want to do it. It's, you know, it's just these standard holiday movies. And I said, well, why wouldn't I want to read for it? Like, is this something you're not telling me? And she was like, no, we just figured some people don't like to do these movies. And I said, well, I mean, what else is going on? So let's go in and read. And so I went in and I did a self-tape, sent the tape in, and then I suddenly got thrust into this process that they had been trying to cast from New York, LA, London. They've been trying to get someone from all over, and they couldn't find anybody. And then my tape came in, and the casting director is so lovely up there. I've become friendly with her, and she said that the minute she saw my tape, she screenshot the first sentence I said, and she circled it in red on her phone and sent it to the producer and said, this is it, this is him. Which is so funny because it's literally a self-tape from, I don't have anywhere in my house to do it that's great. The best lighting is by one of the bathrooms. Right. It's a glass door, so it's not really great. You can tell you're in a house.
Right.
And she sent me this picture and said, see, I told you. And it was me in a blue shirt against my toilet door, circled in red with a tick. And that was it. It wasn't like some massive, huge audition with right. It was just, you know, it was like the stories you kind of hear about sometimes.
Well, I think what's important is that you must just always be in preparation, because you never know right. when there's going to be this job.
Yeah.
If you had to say to a young actor or actress who is just starting out,
yeah.
What have you learned that you could say, oh my God, let me give you the 3 tips?
Okay.
What would you say to them?
One of the things that people told me, which, at the time you just don't want to hear it, is enjoy the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, if one more person said that to me, like I would have punched them in the face. But it's just, if I could go back to my younger self and be like, Nick, really, just try to enjoy the time here. But it's, it's stressful. You want to work, you want a job, you're desperate to do this. And that would be my main thing, is try somehow to find something that occupies you in the downtime that you enjoy, that maybe you can make some money on too, because that always helps. But something else that you would really enjoy. And I used to think that finding something else that I enjoyed was making me not a true actor.
Right.
Like in my head, I'm like, no, I have to live in my car. I have to, find food on the streets and, save every coupon. And it was just a miserable way to live because I
Right.
did live like that for a bit. And I went to every acting class and I studied books and I was so broke. And it wasn't until someone said to me, why don't you go back to training people? You're an amazing trainer.
Right, because people don't know you're a trainer, but you're a fitness expert.
Thank you. I mean, I've built a lot of years doing it, and I was doing it in London. I started doing that at 17. And so I started doing that, but it felt like a backtrack. So I would say to anybody out there, like, if you have something else you love and you enjoy, thrust yourself into that as well. It doesn't mean you can't do acting or modeling or whatever it is you're trying to pursue, but it really does help. It also helps take the pressure off. When you walk in that room, even though you want the job, you don't need the job.
Correct.
And if you go in, and we've talked about this, if you go in with this needing, this want, like people can smell it on you.
Correct.
And it's so sad to say, but it's such a turnoff.
Correct.
You walk into the room and you're like, this would be a fun role, but whatever. I mean, I don't need it. I'm going on vacation tomorrow anyway. That's
Correct.
probably when you're going to book the role.
Correct. And that's what I think people who are entering this business or any business, that they're putting so much stress on it must be this. And if I don't get it, I'm going to be a failure.
Right.
And I think the key is to understand that the principle is that no matter what you're doing in life, you have to be excited and happy about you.
Exactly.
Not because you have the movie or because you are the CEO of a company.
Yeah.
It's really that inner confidence, not ego,
Yeah.
but the confidence of knowing that you're a great person no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll admit, with the first movie that I shot, when I went up to Canada, I wasn't like in the best headspace. I had a few things in my life going on, and which is probably why I think maybe I was so distracted by other things in my life that when I went and did this audition, I was like, let me just do this audition and get it out of the way. And then, of course, you go book it. But when I was up there shooting, you would think, I've always said to myself, God, when I get the first, when I'm the lead in my first movie, I'm going to be just cloud nine every day, like so excited, so grateful, so happy. And I got up there, I still had all the same problems, but I was now in Canada.
Correct.
So it really made me think, okay, I really have to try to focus on, in here to make this happy, because no matter how many roles I book, or how much money you make, doesn't change. I was still the same person I was before the audition, just up in Canada, having to now learn lines and shoot every day.
Correct.
So the second movie for me, that was my goal. When we booked the second one, they told me it was going ahead. I was in a much better headspace, but I'd done quite a lot of work on myself. Well, I'd gone back to my work, I should say. And that was night and day. I loved it. I loved being up in Canada. I would go explore on my off days. It was a different journey, the second one.
Well, I think that's the key for people to really understand success is the success of you, not what you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're looking outside yourself. When I get the next movie, I'll be happier.
Yeah.
When I get $1 million, I'll be
Yeah.
happier. And I'm not saying that you can't have that. It's just how do you make it inner first,
Right.
the inward part of just the belief.
Yeah.
And the faith to know that no matter what, it's a process.
Yeah.
1 door opens, 6 doors open. 2 doors close, that's the door. Are you ready?
Exactly.
And
also I think the courage to close a door, that can be so hard, terrifying, because you might not see anything open in front of you. It might just be black.
Right.
Like an abyss.
Correct.
But you have to get this one door shut, and that sometimes a leap of faith to do that is really key.
Yeah. What's been your biggest challenge to overcome so far in this life?
Getting out of my own way. And I'm still a work in progress, I will admit. But just thinking what are you doing here? All these questions come up. You have this on your shoulder, the little whatever
Bad
it
twin.
is, voice of just, bad twin or whatever, saying, you're not good enough, you're too
Correct.
this, you're too, it used to be well, you're too young for this role. Now it's I'm too old for this role. Now it's, I don't look right for this, or people
You're too good looking.
Well, I've had, I've had that more often than not, and it's very frustrating because I was I don't know what to, I'll go in with scruff, I won't brush my hair, if I have a pimple, I'll just leave it. I won't try to address the pimple on my face. I don't know what to do.
Right.
And I got really close to an amazing role to play a lawyer about a year ago. And it was a recurring lawyer. And it was tons of dialogue. And I had to do a whole closing in court statement and in American accent. And I nailed it. And they were we loved him. He's our favorite. But it's just too much on camera for that role. As a lawyer, we don't buy it. It's like, what does that even mean?
Right.
Like, I mean, so that, and then you get in your head about that,
Right.
and then you think, well, what do I need to change?
Right.
And the strength is overcoming it to be like, I don't need to change anything.
Correct.
It just wasn't my role.
Correct.
So that takes time.
Correct.
That's definitely
And I think it's the belief of knowing that you are already, I don't want to say perfect, but you are already whole
yeah,
before anything else, and that if you really trust that, then the people are going to come to you.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to chase anything.
right.
The roles will come to you. You know, I have another client that she's same thing. As she started to believe that she's just as good as, you know, Meryl Streep,
Yeah.
the roles have just been coming.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, she can do no wrong.
Right.
You know, why? Because the belief and giving yourself that permission to trust yourself, but to say, yes, I believe I am worthy,
Yeah.
whether I have the job or not, whether you started a, you know, a company of something else, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But what you know, I think how do you think people can really learn to love themselves?
Wow. I mean, I think that doing something for yourself every day that makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really great one to start off with. Now, whether that's going to the gym, going to a workout class, hiking up a canyon, taking your dog on a walk, something that just makes you get out of your own head and make you feel good, taking care of yourself. Because ultimately, like, this is all we have.
Right.
So if you don't take care of it, how can you expect anybody else to want to, you know, help you or give you a job? Or it needs to come from within, that self-care.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like I have like this, I'll try to find time, and I haven't done it lately, but it's on my list. There's a small foot massage place down my street. It's literally $30 for the hour. But to go there and zone out, turn my phone off,
The best.
is the best thing. And that for me is like, I have a friend now that sometimes goes with me, and it's the thing where we both just like switch the phones off, they go down, and it's an hour of just like lying there, and that really helps me. So find your thing
Good.
that helps you take care of you.
When you, I know you are an avid, I don't want to say exercise fanatic.
Yeah.
I am too. But most people, I believe, are a bit lazy.
Yeah.
And they start a program and then they go, oh, it's not for me.
Right.
Or they don't go. They don't continue to persist
Yeah.
and just keep going to have a breakthrough moment. When you train people, are you enjoying the process as you're training them also?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the process. Everyone's different. The way everyone approaches it is so different. And I think just going back to what you said, you know, about so many people say to me, well, I did this for 2 weeks. I just couldn't keep it up. And then I said, what did you try to do for 2 weeks? They tried to change everything. You have to just go little by little, like make a small change, whether it's like, I'm going to go to the gym this week 2 times. And if you accomplish that, at the end of the week, you'll feel, you know, really great about yourself, as opposed to saying, I'm going to go 7 times and I only made 5. And then you don't feel great about yourself, even though you went 5 times. So give yourself small things to do. That's what I tell all my clients. And most of my clients start with me maybe once or twice a week. And then they start after 6 months seeing changes, and they end up going, can we do an extra session every week? Is that cool? And I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. Approaching the individual has been so interesting because you learn from their body language, the way they dress, the way they hold themselves in the gym, the way they work out, from the way they eat. That's another huge thing.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's so many clients I've had that just get so frustrated that it's not working. And then when I really sit down and make them do this like food diary, and you just look at it and you're like, at what point did you think a donut for breakfast was a good thing? Or mid-afternoon or before bed, you know?
Right.
They're like, oh, well, I thought like it's, you know, da, da, da. I'm like, no. You know, and people just don't know.
Right.
That's what's fascinating to me.
I just bought a juicer. I'm going to start doing the celery in the morning.
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't
a
done
big
it.
craze. I haven't tried it either.
It's supposed to be amazing. Many people have sworn by it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you do in the morning that's like a protein drink, or
I have a routine. I do.
Okay.
I wake up. I wake up. The first thing I do is I put about 15 drops of fresh lemon juice in like a large glass of water.
Right.
And then I have this completely natural, like from a beehive, like huge thing of honey. And I do like a teaspoon of that with the lemon water every morning. And it just kind of gets the metabolism going, and it also kind of like cleans out your whole system. That's the first thing I do every single morning. Yeah. And the honey's really great for like if you have allergies, and just it's so good with all the enzymes in it and everything.
Good.
Yeah.
As far as the training, you're still, I mean, you basically do that every day. I know you also do Soul Cycle.
Yeah, well,
I'm not
so
Soul Cycle.
it's called Cycle House.
Cycle
But yeah,
House.
so I have like a small investment in that
Right.
company, but I teach a couple of times a week there. I have my private clients. Some of my clients I actually go on movies with and help them get in shape for whatever role they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this like kind of double life where, which is great. I mean, everyone, and that's another thing. People keep saying, well, you have to choose. What do you want to be? And I'm like,
Right.
why do I have to choose?
No.
If it's good enough for The Rock, I mean, he's
Correct.
doing movies and he's also doing fitness TV shows. And
Correct.
so why can I not do that?
Absolutely. It's
And
like a
that's my-
chef who
exactly.
cooks 5 different meals. you
Right.
know.
So I think the world has also changed where you don't have to specify like, this is who I am. I'm Nick and I do this. I'm an actor and I'm also, in the fitness world, and I also model sometimes. Like,
I think you should have your own brand of some kind of protein
there you
powder.
go. Yeah.
Or a vitamin that you
Something
create.
like that.
Super vitamin.
That's a great idea.
To
yeah.
make yourself
Yeah.
be Nick in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think the key for individuals is to just be inspired about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you do is not only helping them, but I think as the platform of you in the acting world becoming much more successful in your work, that you're going to be a platform to do that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that one of the things, I was, as a kid, and I've said this in many interviews now, but like I was a heavy kid growing up. So I kind of was really bullied for that, and I was overweight, and I didn't understand like what I had to do or what I was doing wrong. And I had an amazing teacher who kind of in school who kind of educated me. And so she kind of taught me very basically how to count calories and what that meant, and then also how to work out as well. So I learned how to like train weights, kind of young, circuit training, like a form of like HIIT training really young, and ended up getting other kids in the school really excited. So like on lunch breaks, a lot of us were like missing lunch because everyone wanted to do this whole workout class that this teacher and I had basically designed.
Uh-huh.
This was like at 15 years old.
Uh-huh.
But I think then going into the acting, I developed a lot of empathy because I understand, like people look at me now and they're like, oh, well, how do you don't know what it's like. And I do know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel when your pants don't fit, or you have to, go up another size in the store. It's a horrendous feeling. I hated it. And, people always make jokes about you. And I think that really helped with acting, because I think when you get into a role, you need to develop a level of empathy to understand a character.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think the two have worked really well together. And then with my clients, I have to have a level of empathy to understand what they're going through in order to know how to tailor the program to them, to get their goals.
Exactly.
So I think the worlds work really well together for me. So,
who inspires you?
gosh, my parents for sure.
Okay.
I have the most amazing parents. They've both incredible. My dad was Air Force. My mum actually was a opera singer back in the day, early, and then ended up becoming a dentist. So she's a very random career. But they're inspiring to me because they work hard. They're such good, honest humans. Such good, morals.
And your sister's amazing.
And my sister as well.
She's
I mean,
just
she
gone
really,
off into. She's a makeup artist.
makeup and prosthetics,
Right.
And she's done amazing. She worked in all the Harry Potter movies.
Mm-hmm.
She did Bohemian Rhapsody. She actually did the nose that Rami Malek wore every day in that role. She's now working with Chris Pine on a project in Romania. She did Wonder Woman. I mean, she's going from strength
Wow.
to
Yeah, I
strength.
remember when she was in spin class, we used to chat.
Yeah.
And she used to say, I'm going to be a successful makeup
Yeah.
artist, and boy, she's doing
she's
it.
done it. I know.
Wow.
It's amazing. So I would say my family is my biggest inspiration, because
Okay.
everybody's just has such a great work ethic and hasn't compromised any of their values.
Good. Who inspires you musically?
Musically, my gosh. I love the lyrics and the way that I watched a program on the way that Sia develops a lot of her music, and also I know she's dealt with like a lot of mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of love where all of her lyrics come from. Like, it's so interesting and so deep, and also her voice. I mean, I don't know, that voice kind of speaks to me. Like I've heard her sing like a cappella with no nothing, no music, no background, nothing, just her singing, and it's incredible. It gives you goosebumps.
Right,
You know? So I'm kind of inspired by her. Yeah. Who are you inspired by music?
Actually, there's a group that I call Group Love.
Okay.
They're clients of mine, and I'd never seen them in concert.
Oh, wow.
And I went to see them, and I saw the process, how they write and how they create a song.
Yeah.
And I was kind of blown away.
Yeah.
And so when I went to their concert, I was like, wow, that's, I could relate to that song that they wrote. A lot of people, I hear a lyric and it sort of catches my ear.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a huge fan of where I saw you at the concert downtown. The singer
Adele?
from Adele.
Oh, Adele, yeah.
And I was so inspired by her
Yeah.
because of her authenticity. She was
exactly.
so funny on
Amazing.
stage. She brought that little girl up and did selfies with her. And I just love her now,
And that's what's amazing to me about her is that when she opened at the Staples, I mean, it's the Staples Center.
Right.
It was a very small stage. She walked out and just starts talking. Right. I think she started talking about getting a green juice at Whole Foods and what was in it because she was sick. And she had however many people were in there captivated.
Correct.
Completely captivated.
Yeah, and then she talked
charming.
about how she loves sushi from Bristol Farms.
Yeah.
And you could catch her there eating sushi.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's real.
Yeah, it's real.
And I love that about performers or creative people or any people. I think that's the key about being authentic is real.
Yeah.
And being approachable.
Definitely.
And that's the key. If you could go back into time and you could speak to someone, who would it be and what would you tell them?
Wow.
And it could be someone that you, want to meet.
There's two answers to this. I would love to go back to myself as that kid in school and be like, everything's going to be fine, just so you know. Okay? We're going to have a really nice house in LA one day, so we're good. So just get on with whatever you're doing and just stop worrying. Because he worried a lot, all the time. The other person I would love to just sit down with and meet would be Nelson Mandela. My sister got married in Cape Town. So we went to the prison cell that he was held in for all those years. I mean, this thing is like 6 of the size of this room that he lived in. And I would just love to talk to him about everything that he went through. His life was fascinating to me when I learned about it out in South Africa. And the way that he still came out of that experience so positive and and still inspiring other people. Where someone could have gone through that and been bitter and angry and, hates people. It didn't seem to affect him like that.
Right.
That fascinates me. So, yeah.
Wow. Do you have any fears? What's your biggest fear? Heights?
And my friend is trying to get me to do a skydive in March, which I know I need to do because I'm so fearful of it. But I think my heart might stop. Like, I'm actually legit think my heart might just give out because a friend of mine bought me a virtual reality headset.
Right,
Have you seen these things called Oculus? You put this mask on and you're transported in this world. One of the games is a skydiving game. I couldn't even start the game and step out of the plane because you're in this world. You look down and you're on the edge of this plane. The doors open and you can just see clouds and the ground a million miles away. And I actually couldn't physically start the game because I couldn't step forward, even though I knew there was just carpet underneath my feet. So height is a big one.
I had a height fear. I was stuck in an elevator once in Century City for probably about an hour, and it was on the 35th floor.
You were, or this was a dream?
No,
you
real
were
life.
Stuck. Oh, wow.
And I was so petrified. I never want to get into elevators anymore, escalate, anything. And any hotel that I was on tour, I would say, put me on the ground floor or the second floor. I want to take the stairs.
So like a claustrophobia kind of fear?
A bit.
Yeah.
I think when you're in this closed space, you just have the alarms. And so for a year, at least a year, I wouldn't go into any high rises. And I was going to listen to these people at the Bodhi Tree when it used to be here. And there were these Irish speakers, and they were doing this thing called EFT. And I go, what is that? Emotional freedom technique. And they said, anybody have a problem? I said, yes, I don't like to get into, I'm afraid of getting into an elevator. Yeah. And they go, come on stage. And then they started topping where you tap the negative. So they tapped. I kept tapping. I don't like heights. I don't like to get in elevators. I don't like to. So the first round is all negative because we react to negative. Then the second round is I love elevators. I love to go up to the heights and just be in
The same point.
the same points. So it's points 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the thymus, and then underneath the lymph nodes. But there's millions of points. So I did this. They did it to me actually about 10 minutes. And the following week, I was somewhere and I had to go up to, it was like the 25th floor. And I said, it's not there anymore. And it went away. And I was able to get into buildings. And when I go to Japan, sometimes they put me in a high rise on 67 floors to spend the night in this apartment. I'm like, and you look down, but now I'm cool with it. But I think
it's never come back.
Never come back.
Wow.
So I'll have to do the EFT on you. I do it in my seminars, but it works because I had the whole feed. You still when you use this jump?
March.
Okay, so we have time. Have your parachute?
Yeah, the instructor's going to have to push me out for sure.
God. What for the future, as your intention for 2020? What would you want to manifest, or what would be the intent for Nick that you want to achieve or create?
I mean, I would love to just keep working as an actor. I would love to keep that train going now, which, I mean, I love doing it so much. I love being on set. I love creating. So I think just to keep creating in 2020 would be amazing. To spend more time with my family. I think that's another thing that I've learned is that, you can be out here chasing a dream and working, and you can forget sometimes what's truly important. For me, you start to see, my parents are getting older now, or my sister's settling down and is not able to travel as much, or whatever, and I think that to make those choices to spend more time with your close ones that you love.
And I think you have to definitely create a product, some kind of food product, or
something,
because people listen to you.
Yeah.
And it could be the special powder or special something.
Yeah.
That would be part of your brand.
Yeah.
Because I see your brand. Idea. I think your brand is just bigger than, yes, acting is part of it, but expand internationally. Bigger.
I think that's a great idea.
But
to think about
so people can watch the show all this month. Or
everybody, you guys can watch
TV.
Up TV on cable. It's playing both movies are now playing all over up till Christmas. I think even into January.
Okay.
You can also watch on demand if you have the Up TV app.
Okay.
I even believe if you have Apple Plus, if you're subscribed to that, you can search for Christmas with a Prince and it comes up within that as well. If you still have a DVD player, which I believe some people do, you can buy the DVD at Target and also on Amazon.
Excellent. And if people want to get a hold of you, they can go to
@Nick Hounslow, which is my Instagram.
Correct.
Yep. And I also have a Facebook page the same, Nick Hounslow.
Cool. Well, Prince, it was great to see you in studio.
Thank you. So good to see you too.
And I wish you a great holiday. And I know only greatness is coming, even bigger for you. And I think you just have to be the light that you are.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you
Happy
so much
holidays.
for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you for coming to Ready, Set, Live. Join me next time for an extraordinary guest. Have a great day.